Today I am going to be doing the Rocket League Fusion Tournament North America tournaments by Johnny Boy, and it's an interesting type of tournament that, like, I haven't done a tournament recap in 8 months, and recently there's been a ton of tournaments announced by Psyonix, so I think I might start getting back into it. Unfortunately, this and the EU version are probably not going to have any game clips in them because I have final projects for school, so I can't like actually put in a lot of time in them. So after that, I probably will have some game clips for the other tournaments that are upcoming this June and July. So hopefully I can actually start having a consistent upload schedule for all these tournaments. So with that, let's get into the video. The Rocket League Fusion Tournament is a tournament organized by Johnny Boy and sponsored by Incivic, and is a combination of 3s, 2s, and 1v1s. The close qualifiers were very interesting. First, teams had to tweet at Johnny Boy begging him to allow them to play in the qualifier, and he chose 32 teams from North and South America and seeded them. The closed qualifier was double elimination, which means that once a team loses 2 matches, they are out. Each match of the qualifier was a best of 5. The first game was 3s, then 2s, then duels, after which the losing team, if necessary, picks the game mode, and if it goes to game 5, the other team picks it. This caused there to be some strategy in what players some teams had as their fourth. For example, G2 picked up Mile. However, most RLCS teams didn't do this. 8 teams qualified for the main event. In the upper bracket, they were 72 Pin Connector, Stromboli, Rogue, and Space Station. In the lowers, it was Divine, Affinity, Vision, and Envy. The main event bracket was different than the qualifiers. Instead, there are 3 8-team brackets, one of them 3s, 2s, and 1s. Each bracket is a best of 7 single elimination bracket, and teams are awarded points based on how well they do. The prize pool situation is weird, but I figured it out. If you do better, you get more money. Okay, that's enough of the important details wasting our time. Let's get into the results. The quarterfinals happened during the first 4 days of the tournament, and only the 2v2 bracket had upsets in it. There are 2 sweeps in the quarters. In the 3s bracket, number 3 seed Rogue swept number 6 Stromboli, and in the 1s bracket, First Killer beat Arsenal so bad he thought it was a best of 5. It wasn't, so Sipical had to play the last game. He lost. There were 3 5-game rounds. 4 seed Magic Bear beat 5 seed Reddles in the 1s bracket. Then Magic Bear and Percy, for Affinity, upset J-Pow and Alpha Cap, who were on Stromboli. Finally, number 1 Space Station was able to handle Divine in the 2s bracket. There were 5 4-2s. In the 3s bracket, Space Station beat Divine, and Envy beat Vision. In the 2s bracket, Rogue beat Envy, and Vision beat 72 Pin Connector, which turned out to be the biggest upset seed-wise in the tournament. Finally, J-Russ beat Kinsey in the 1s bracket. The last 2 matches went to Game 7. Lion Blaze had a close scare against Alpha Cap, but he was able to pull it out. In the 3s bracket, it looked like 72 Pin Connector were going to easily beat Affinity, but Affinity ended up reverse sweeping them. This was the only time it happened in the entire tournament. Before the semifinals, here are the scores of each team. Both Affinity and Rogue won all of their matches, so they are frontrunners to win it. Space Station also has a chance, being the 1 seed in both 3s and 2s and being alive in both of those brackets. For all the 4th place teams, they don't have the ability to win it all, but they do want to do well to ensure themselves a better overall placement. And then there's Stromboli. The 1 and 2 seeds both won their respective matches in the 3s bracket. Envy was able to beat Rogue pretty easily, 4 games to 1. Space Station also won 4-1 over Affinity, but they had to win all 3 of the overtimes. Even though it was only 5 games, this match actually had the most overtimes in it out of the entire tournament. In the 2s bracket, the 1 and 6 seeds made it to the finals. Sipical and Arsenal for Space Station dished out a 4-1 to Rogue, even though in Game 5 Rogue subbed in Kronovi for Turin Turo. On the other side, Magic Bear and Percy for Affinity were able to beat Visions, Rodoko, and Kinsey in 6. The 1 and 2 seeds also make it to the finals in the 1s bracket. First Killer was going to play Magic Bear for his match, but halfway through Game 1 there was a disconnect, so he played Jordan instead, beating him 3 times in a row. He then proceeded to beat Magic Bear once he was able to reconnect to complete the sweep. In the other part of the bracket, Lion Blaze was able to take down J-Russ in a very close series that took 6 games. And that's the semifinal. Both Affinity and Rogue won one of their semifinal matches, but that's enough to get them to 25 points and in the lead. Space Station won both of their matches, so they have 22 points, but also the most points to gain. 72 Pin Connector and Envy are tied in 4th, but they can only win their respective brackets, 1s and 3s. Vision and Divine both lost their final chance, so they are forever in 6th. then there's Stromboli. The win conditions are like this. If Space Station wins both of their matches, they win. If Space Station beats Affinity and Rogue loses, they win. If Affinity wins their match and Rogue loses, they win. If Affinity wins and Rogue also wins, Affinity and Rogue share the title. If Space Station loses to Envy and beats Affinity, and then Rogue wins, Rogue wins. The threes final was the closest, with it going all the way until Game 7. Unfortunately for Envy, they lost 7-0 in Game 7 to Space Station. The twos final, on the other hand, was a shellacking. Sippical and Arsenal absolutely demolished Magic Baron Percy, which secured the tournament win for Space Station. The ones final was pretty close, but First Killer was able to best Lion Blaze in a Game 6 overtime. And that's a wrap. Space Station won, then Rogue, then Affinity, Envy and 72-pin Connector tied for 4th, then Divine and Vision for 6th, and then there's Stromboli. I was able to get the North American thing done in 5 minutes like I wanted to, but unfortunately at the end I realized it was really boring because I can't do clips right now because I'm still working on finals. So my plan, and also my power was out for a couple of days, so I wasn't able to actually get it out like Thursday, which is when I wanted to. I actually finished the North America part on Monday. So my plan is to just add in the European one, but since it was 5 times as interesting, I'm going to make it 5 times as faster. So this is Fusion Tournament Europe in 1 minute. The point system changed to this. These teams qualified. These were the brackets. Singularity sweeps Solary. Renal Vitality beat Tree of a Kind. Oxygen Esports beat Stormtroopers in 5. Dignitas beat Sandrock in 7. Then Vitality swept Singularity and Oxygen swept Dignitas. Oxygen beat Vitality 4-1 to win the bracket. Vitality swept Solary. Oxygen beat Sandrock in 6. Singularity beat Stormtroopers and Dignitas beat Tree of a Kind in 7. Vitality swept Dignitas. Oxygen beat Singularity in 5. Vitality overtime swept Oxygen to win the bracket. Fairy Peak swept Scrubkilla. Ixo made Astral Rage Quit in 6. Ocalid beat Exotic in 7. Apparently Jack reverse swept Jorius. Ocalid swept Ixo and Taz. Fairy Peak and Alpha 54 took down Apparently Jack. Fairy Peak beat Ocalid in Game 7 overtime to win the bracket. And that's it. Vitality made the finals in all 3 modes and won 2 of them, so they obviously won. Oxygen got 2nd, Sandrock got 3rd, Dignitas and Singularity got 4th, Stormtroopers and Tree of a Kind 6th, and Solary got last. Thank you guys so much for watching. Yes, I do plan on doing all of the community tournaments that are taking over, like the thing sponsored by Psyonix this summer. And yes, I am going to use clips, game clips in all of those. And also, I really, really, really would love some constructive criticism to how I can make these better, because I do plan on doing another like 8 or 10, 9, or whatever of these. So I definitely want to know how I can make it more entertaining. Uh, Yes, I am going to add clips to them, and they're probably going to be longer because they'll be no more detailed than this. Sorry I had to squeeze down EU. I wanted to get this out a couple days prior, just NA, but like I said before, power's out, so I wasn't able to, so I just squeezed in EU here. Hopefully that was entertaining. Hopefully this video was entertaining. If you want to see more videos like this in the past, too bad, because this is like the first one like this. I guess the DreamHack one is kind of like this, but that one was kind of terrible, so don't watch that one. Anyways, click here to go watch the DreamHack Montreal one that I just told you not to watch. And yeah, subscribe if you want to. If you don't, hit it twice.